Alright guys, so we are taking a look at the back of the notes. This is section P2, part 2. Here's what we want to be able to do. We want to be able to use intercepts to write an equation of a line. Alright, one thing we want to do. Another thing is we want to be able to sketch the graph of any line, guys, with and without the graphing calculator. And we want to be able to find the equation of a line passing through a point if we have to be parallel or perpendicular to a different line. Okay, so those are our three goals. So first thing here is the first goal, intercepts and equations. Find the equation of a line with an x-intercept of 1 and a y-intercept of, and I think this negative is supposed to be down here, so -4. Okay, so how am I going to do that? I need to know the slope, right? To write an equation of a line, I have to know the slope. In order to write the slope, I have to know points. If I have an x-intercept, what is that as a point? It's 1, 0. So I know the point 1, 0. I'm given a y-intercept of -4. So what is that as a point? Right. So now we can find the equation of the line. We need the slope, m equals -4 minus 0. Over 0 minus 1, that's -4 over -1, that's a slope of 4. If I know the slope, then I automatically can figure out the equation because I know I can plug it into y equals mx plus b. I know the slope, I already know the y-intercept. So it's just going to be y equals, plug in the slope, plug in the y-intercept, and there we go. If I felt like I might have made a mistake on that, I can easily check it. I can go to my calculator. I want to turn off the stat plots. That has nothing to do with what I'm doing. I want to clear out this. I just put in 4x minus 4. And I'm just going to look at my table. I want to check those intercepts. My table's set up a little differently. I'm going to adjust it. So look guys, I can look at my table, I want to see my x-intercept of 1, 0, and I want to see if I have a y-intercept of 0, -4, and I do, so I know that this has to be correct. Okay? Alright, number 2, sketch and equate the graph of this equation. If I have x equals -2, that means that x is always -2. Y can be anything, but x is always -2. So if I plot those points, -2, 4, x has to be -2, y can be absolutely anything. So there's that line. Okay, what about this line, y equals 4? Y equals 4. What's that going to be? Horizontal line, right? So I have to go to 4. So there's y equals 4. And then what about this last one? What am I going to have to do to be able to graph that last one? Yeah, got to solve it for y equals. So it's -2y equals -x plus 6. So y is going to be 1/2 x minus 3. And so now I can go to my y-intercept of -3. My slope is up 1 over 2. Connect. Okay? So you should know how to graph all those lines. Vertical, horizontal, and oblique is what the last one's called. All right, what about parallel lines? All parallel lines have the what? Same or different slopes? Same slope. To find the slope of a line perpendicular to a given line, how do we do that? If it's perpendicular, what do we do? Reciprocal is right, I heard somebody say. What else? Negative reciprocal. So it's the opposite reciprocal. Opposite reciprocal. So we're going to use that on the next problem. It says write an equation of the line through this point and parallel to the given line. And then we want to go through this point and be perpendicular to this given line. So let's think about what's going on here. So here's our point, 3, 4. Here's my line. Well, I need to know the slope of this. So this is going to be negative 4y equals negative 2x plus 9. So y equals, that's going to be 1/2 x minus 9/4. So if I wanted to go through this point and be parallel to this line, what slope am I going to use? I want to be parallel to it though, so what slope? Not if I want it to be parallel. 1/2, guys. Use the same if it's parallel. So here's my point, here's my slope. I can just use point slope. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So this is going to be y equals 1/2 x minus 3/2. Then I have to add 4. That's adding 8/2. So that's 1/2 x plus 5/2. I like to do that all in one step. By the time you're in calculus, you should be able to do this kind of thing. I'm distributing, and then I'm adding the 4 all in one step. And this is the equation. Okay, so this is the answer to part A. What about for part B? What slope am I going to use for part B? Am I still going to use 1/2 for my slope? 2 or negative 2? Negative 2, opposite reciprocal. So I'll do this one with y equals mx plus b for you, those of you who use that. So here's x, here's y. I'm going to use y equals, the slope I need to use is negative 2x. I'm using y equals mx plus b. So I have 4 equals negative 6 plus b. So b is going to be 10. Y equals, and so our slope we're using was negative 2x plus 10. That's our answer to part B. Any questions? So we have two methods. We can use our point slope, or we can use our y equals mx plus b. All right, this is a little bit of a different type of question. It's asking the same thing, but the line we're given is a lot different. So this time we're given the line y equals negative 3. That's this line right here. I want to go through the point negative 2, 4. We want to be parallel to this line. So that's going to look like that. What's the equation of that line then? Good. So my answer to part A is going to be y equals 4. Because if I'm parallel to this, I know this point's negative 2, 4. So I know the y value there is 4. For part B, now we want to be perpendicular to this line. So I want it to look like this. What's the equation of that line going to be? Good. So that's not too difficult. All right, how do we use slope in the real world? Well, it says the 2010 value of a Jeep is $24,100. That's telling us at time 0, the value is $24,100. Each year, the rate of change is a $1,500 decrease. And that's true, guys. Anytime you buy a car, when you drive it off the lot, it loses about 25 to 30% of its value just because it's not on the lot anymore. It's not considered brand new. So for this case, they're saying every year it's going to drop by $1,500. Write a linear equation that gives the dollar value V of the Jeep in terms of the year T. So let's try that. So the value of the Jeep, what's the rate of change, guys? Negative $1,500, right? We're dropping by $1,500 every year. So it's negative 1,500 t plus, now what's our y-intercept? At times 0, how much is it worth? 24,100, right? So there's our answer to part A. Now it says, what is the value of the Jeep in 2018 based on this? What would I do to figure that out? Do I plug in 18? 8, right? Because 2010 was times 0. So I would do V of 8, and that's negative 1,500 times 8 plus 24,100. Can somebody tell me that answer, please? I got that. This is what you should have gotten, 12,100. All right, so it's lost almost half of its value after 8 years. It's pretty typical of a used car. Okay, guys, last one. The equations of two parabolas are given. Use a graphing calculator to find the points of intersection. All right, so finding points of intersection, just to review this, we've talked about it. I go under y equals. I'm going to put in my functions x squared minus 4x plus 3. My second function is negative x squared plus 2x plus 3. I'm going to do a zoom 6 to get my standard screen, just in case it's not standard already. Here's the way it looks. How do I get the points of intersection? I go to what? Second, trace, intersection. Okay, I'll find the first one. I got to be close to it. I am. So now I can just hit enter for my first curve. Is my second curve y2? Yes. Hit enter. Do I want it to guess? Yeah. I don't really want it to guess. I want it to give me the answer. 0, 3. To find my other point of intersection, I do the same thing. But here's the thing. Somebody kept saying, it just keeps giving me 0, 3 over and over. What are they not doing if they keep getting 0, 3 over and over? You got to arrow over. You got to go close to that point. Otherwise, it thinks you're trying to find that first point. So I arrow over. Now it's saying, is that the first curve? Yes. Second? Yes. Enter. And there's our other point of intersection. What if I didn't know how to use the calculator, or say I forgot my calculator in my locker and I had to do this without? What would we do? Substitution or elimination? Substitution might be easier because I can just set this equal to this. Watch how quickly we can figure this out, guys. I need to get a set equal to 0, so I'm going to have 2x squared. Negative 4x minus 2x is minus 6x. Those would cancel. Now I just factor out a 2x, and I get x equals 0 and 3. So those are my two answers for x. 0 for x, 3 for x. Then to find y, I just plug it in. Plug it in anywhere. 0 squared plus 2 plus 0 plus 3 is 3. Plug in 3. 3 squared is 9. 9 times 2. What? That's not going to work. Oh, this is a negative x squared. Negative 9. Plus 6 plus 3 is 0. There we go. All right. Makes sense? Okay, so you guys have your assignment up there. It's section P2 on page 17. It's just like 8 or 9 problems. Yeah, it's not a long assignment today.